and share my screen. We have the two last big themes ahead, and then the last one that we end very very quick. Happens to me the same as always that I exit because I'm trying to put in full screen the slide. Okay. We're going to start with a web user experience. Um, Web user experience or GUCs system allows monitoring the user experience in web application by executing automated navigation tasks using Selenium engine to simulate real user interactions. The first thing that we need to do is to mount the infrastructure that we will need for to operate with Selenium. Okay, um, we need to make a record of our web transition. We're going in the training. We're going to learn um, of how we can make that record. We need the Pandora FMS server, and we'll need we'll need to install a .disco file with Selenium for a script. In fact, to download that Selenium for .disco file, you will need an account in the marketplace. So for the training, I download and I updated to WinTransfer, so you can download the .disco of Selenium for Discovery, so you can test in your VMs. I copy the link of WeTransfer, so you can download the .disco file of Selenium, so you can test in your own machines, because otherwise you're not going to be able to download the .disco of Selenium 4. Okay. Google needs the Selenium driver in generally in another machine where we have Pandora FMS server running, but we can use the same machine, but that depends on the number of transactions that we want to launch, because that containers or web drivers uses the resources of the machine, obviously, and in a production environment, the Moscow needs to install another machine to use that web driver and the hub of Selenium in the remote machine, apart from Pandora FMS server. But to make test, we can install that web driver in the same machine that in where we are running our Pandora FMS server without problem. And in a production environment, if we want to launch a few transactions, maybe I don't know, from 1 to 5, we could use the web driver in the same machine as we have the Pandora FMS server. But um, we usually have in our customers that if they use this good characteristic, um, they will have uh, more transactions, okay, more than it is recommendable for be the web driver in Pandora FMS servers. But that depends. That depends on the numbers. We recommend always to use another machine to launch that transactions. It is not necessary to be running in Docker container, because we can install in that machine the WebDriver packages. But if we use a Docker container, it is easier. It will be easier for us to configure, because it's this an Docker image with all the dependencies that we need to use the Selenium, two browsers, Google Chrome and Firefox. But we can use also Edge, and I think we have the web drivers for Brave. I'm not sure for Brave, but for Edge, I am sure. And with that transactions, we will create a new agent. It will be created automatically with when we launch the script with Selenium for Disco task or discovery task. Okay. So first, to learn how to record, we're going to learn of how we can configure this worker setup. Okay, the Dockerfile that we talk about. We have four scenarios in we can work. We have to choose one of them, not the four of them. Just we have to just choose only one. You will understand when I explain. We can use the local machine in a machine where we have installed our Pandora server, most specific the discovery server of Pandora, because we can install, if we want, more than one server in our environment, and in one server enable some of our server, the heavy server, discovery server, network server, and in another have the Pandora server with another services or server running. Okay. In our case, we will have one node with one Pandora server with all the servers in the same machine. So for us, local plus Docker, it means that we have a Docker service with a Docker container of Selenium running in the machine where we have installed the the Pandora FMS server, the Pandora FMS main server. Okay, so local plus Docker is the scenario that we will use in the training. Okay, I will show you how to enable with that Docker. Okay. And this is the scenario for the training. It's Docker image running in the same machine as we have our Pandora FMS server running. Okay. Remote plus Docker is similar, but we need to have another machine. And in that machine, we will have to be running the Docker service with the Docker container. And we need to have an SSH connection between the Pandora server machine and that remote machine. So when we configure the discovery task, we need to set the SSH connection from Pandora server to the remote machine with that Docker container running, and it will launch the transaction in that remote machine. It is the same configuration than this one, but our Docker service will be in other machine, not the machine where we have already running the Pandora FMS servers. So we save the resources of the Docker service. And for configuration, we have to configure the SSH connection between Pandora FMS main server and the remote machine. And with Selenium driver, in this case, we have to install the Selenium driver in the machine, the package of Selenium driver, without using the Docker image. If we see, let me change the here. If we see the manual, we'll see in the prerequisite point, this is the web user experience section. I'm going to copy this link on the chat. Okay, in the prerequisites, we will see each method of installations available. Okay, local driver or remote driver. If we choose the local driver, we will need to install this the Selenium driver packages. Here it is installed in this path. Okay, we can use Google Chrome, Google Chrome binary, the driver for Google Chrome, Firefox binary, and the I think it is the driver for Firefox. Okay, and we need these dependencies depending of the browser that we are going to use in each case. Instead of using that computer image, we need to install the driver that but the Docker container is just an image with a minimal operating system that it already has these is dependencies already installed. So we usually use Docker because it is easier to maintain and because it is easier to configure. Okay, but you can start with local driver if you want. Remote driver is the same. As local driver, we need to install this, but in a remote machine. Local driver means that we install in the same machine that where we already have our Pandora FMS main server running. We install these dependencies, okay, and we launch the transactions in the same server where we have the Pandora FMS main server running. The remote server means that we install these dependencies in another server to to save the resources and launch the transactions using that remote that other machine. In this case, it is not necessary to connect with SSH because Selenium Hub uses this port to connect and launch the transactions. Okay, use this port as default. We can change if we want. In the training, we will use this method, local Docker, okay? Because with just with this Docker image, with this yes, with this Docker image, we already have all the dependencies and the drivers installed in this container. So um, it is saying that inside the Docker we have the drivers in these paths, but we don't have to touch anything. We only have to um, start a Docker service and start this container. Okay. Remote Docker is the same as local Docker, but we install this image in another machine, and we need connect through SSH to that other machine to launch the images. Okay. In my case, I install and enable the yesterday in my machine the Docker image that we need uh, to save time. Okay, but in your case, if you want to use your own VM where you have installed your Pandora server to launch Selenium transactions, first you need to be sure that your Docker service that it is installed with the online script with Pandora, but not enabled. Okay, it is just installed. Um, you, sh- um, um, you should have your service to be stopped. Okay, so be sure that it is running with systemctl status Docker. Okay, in my case, I have it active because I activated yesterday. But in your case, you will see the service but disabled. Okay, just start the service in the case that it is inactive. Okay, and we will use that image, Pandora FMS, Pandora Selenium headless. Okay, with this command, um, when you have your Docker service running, as you have internet connection in your machines, it will start to download the this image. Okay, I'm copying to the chat, but it says sending. I don't know if this is sending, but it is this is the command that you need to run. If you run this command in your VM with your Pandora server, when you have Docker service running, it will start to download this image and to uh, be up this image. After the installation, because it has to download and pull that containers, if you launch this command, Docker PS, you will see something like this. Okay, your container running with the image Pandora FMS, Pandora Selenium Helpdesk, and this port. Okay, in the case in in our case, we don't have to be the ports opened. Okay, but in the case, so we could launch this command like this. Okay, but In the case that we want to install the Docker container in another machine to have this scenario, remote mass Docker, you have to, well, in that case, you don't have to open the ports if you want, because it is connecting by SSH. So this parameter is optional, okay? Okay. When you have the image and the container already running, we can start to make the recording. With Web User Experience, we are going to simulate navigation of a web browser that the user could launch, recording all the clicks. Okay, if we type something, it will be also recorded. Okay, if we press a key, it will be also recorded, and we can use special commands that we can record with the right click of the button when we are recording, to maybe to be sure that a string exists in that page, or to store the content of something in a variable, and all of these kind of things. Okay. To record, obviously we need a recorder. Okay. The Selenium recorder, we can find in as an extension or as some browsers. Okay, you have an extension for Google Chrome, but in the last 2-3 months they discontinue the extension with Google Chrome. So we cannot use the extension here in this browser. We have the extension for Firefox or for Edge. Okay, for Edge it's available. In the case that you can't install the extension in any of these browsers, they develop Selenium team developed a desktop app of Selenium IDE to record our transactions. You can find in the web page of the project. Okay, but the easiest way to use the recorder is installing an extension. I usually work with Firefox browser. The extension name is Selenium IDE. So if you look in Manage Extension and you look for Selenium IDE, you will find this extension. Okay, you have to enable, and you will see the extension here. Okay, in your extension tab. Okay, once installed, we need to open. I already have one open. I'm going to close it. Okay, and this is the main screen that we will see when we open the extension. We can record a new test in a new project, open an existing project, create a new one, or close the page. We have to click here in record a new test in a new project. Okay, this is the name of the project. It doesn't matter the name that we set here. we're going to set project, pressing OK. And here it will ask for the base URL of the page that we want to record. When we set the base URL of the page that we want to record here, we need to press to start recording, and it will open a new browser window automatically recording the session. Okay, so in my case, I am going to use this URL, okay, to record the marketplace of Pandora FMS, but you can configure the URL that you want. Okay. If I press in start recording, it will open the new window with the URL that we set. Okay. Here we can see the message that Selenium IDE is recording, and it will see this window when we start navigating to this page. We will see the commands will be recorded here in this in the recorder. Okay, in that case, I don't know. We can record a click here, and if we see it, record the command, open the window, set a window size, and record the click that we did. Okay, we can record anything here, type anything here. And we go back to the Selenium, go back to changelog, and we're going to press here with the right button of the mouse, and we will see these Selenium IDE options. Okay, here we can record some commands that are very useful. For example, wait for the element to be present in the page, because when this transaction is launched, it will be very fast. Okay. And some elements, if the page takes some time to load some elements, maybe it could try to locate an element that it is not loaded, and maybe it saw error in the transaction because that element doesn't exist, but the problem is that it hasn't got enough time or timing out to load the element. So we can configure yes, it is stop. Sorry, I don't know why why it was not recording my screen. I don't know since when it's not recording. I'm going to start with the recorder again. Leave page. Okay, I say that we need to run the Selenium IDE extension. Thank you, Kirill, for advising me, because I didn't see. We have to open to record this in a new project. We can set the project that we want, and we have to set the base URL. Not this one. This one. And we press on start recording. It will open a new window that says the Selenium IDE is recording. we'll open the new window with the URL that we set after pressing in start recording. Okay, and now the clicks and all the action that we do in this window will be recorded here in the recorded automatically. Okay, I press here in the changelog. I can look for a new script here, typing a test, another click. We will go back to changelog, and if I press with the right button, I will see these options. Okay. Wait for is the to tell them the transaction that wait some seconds to the element to be present, to be visible, or to be not present in this case. For example, to be present, and it records this wait to element present. The wait commands, we have to configure a value to tell how many milliseconds we want to wait. We want to wait for the browser. It's the most usual way to end a transaction is to end with an assert, a text, assert test or assert present. Okay. This is because if we end a transaction with a click, we don't know if that click works or not. We know that it would be able, it could make the click, but we don't know if the page that the click loads, it is loaded or not. So we usually want to end the transaction with an assert test. And with this command, we are sure that test exists in that page when after the click is done. Okay. We're going to store the test in a variable to see one thing, text store test. Okay. When we talk about the web server, we said that I didn't like to use that web server to as get content of the website because it is harder to configure that with the web user experience. Okay. The user experience, we can use this store test, and with an internal command that the browser won't understand, but Pandora FMS will understand, we can transform the test stored in this variable to a new module. Okay, we're going to see how to do that. When we finish to record of session, we need to press here stop recording, and it will ask for a test name. This test name is the if I remember well, it is the test that when we launch this transaction in with the discovery, that will have the agent created for these transactions. So we're going to test transaction. Torselin agent. Okay. Here in the documentation, give me a second. Second, please. Uh, okay. Here. In the documentation of web visual experience of our manual, we have the Selenium commands that runs with the Pandora server. Okay, it is the majority of the commands is very strange that you have problems with the problems that the um, recorder um, uh, is be able to use and record. But we have this extra command and commands that generate modules that it is useful for us because that commands is are commands internal for Pandora, and um, we need to use this command in a specific way. These extra commands we have as a most important command is phase start and phase end to create phases. When we create a phase in our transaction, it will create modules separate of time and status for each phase. I didn't mention before, but the modules that the Pandora will create for this for the transactions, it's for default. The status of the transactions, if it ends correctly or not, the time that takes the transaction for the start to finish, and a screenshot in the case of the transaction fails, in which we can see what the browser is showing in the time that the transaction fails. Okay, this is very, very useful. If we configure phases, we will see a module with the status and the time of the entire transactions, and then for each phase, the status and the time for each phase to finish. Okay. Now we are interested in this command that generate modules. In our transactions, we store the test that have our website this test in a variable. Okay. If we want to create a module with this test, we can use this get variable internal command. How we can use it? We can go to the recorder and then press here with the right button and pressing insert new command. Can insert new command at the end. And here in the command, we have to copy the this this command. Okay, I insist in this command is internal for Pandora. If we launch this command in the recorder, because I didn't do it, but we can see if the record works or not here. We can run the test, and here the name is not working. Click name search because didn't load. The type is here. Mm. Mm. It is because the website, because that type is very strange to fail. Because it doesn't interact with this. I don't think this works. Just in case. No. Okay, doesn't matter. Wait for element present. Is wait for element present and store assert present and store test text. Mm. Okay. This is what they said. Timeout is not specified. Okay, when we configure wait command, we have to see to set here the millisecond that we want to wait. So launch again. Okay. 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 First to save the file and load into Pandora. It's better to run the our current test here in the loader and see that everything is correct. So we're configuring this get variable internal module that's asked for the command is get variable. We have set here the module name that wants to be created. Um, Test variable or version. Module type, generic data string, and the name of the variable that we want to extract, that is test. In this case, I want to create a new module with the content of this variable. The content of this variable is 1.2, that it is the what this value, okay, the value that is right here. Okay, when we have the transactions finished, okay, we have to save the project with the name that we want, and we will create a site file. It's a kind of JSON file with all our transactions. Okay. With this site file, we have to go to Pandora to load that transaction. To close all of these windows. First, in your case, I sent you the Disco file of Selenium 4. So you have to go here to manage Disco packages and load the Selenium file that I sent you here and upload Disco. When it's done, you will see this Selenium 4 version 1.3. Okay. When you load the .disco file, we have to create the task that launch the transactions. Okay, we have to go to Discovery, Application, Selenium 4. That's named Selenium 4 Training. The group in which the agents that will be created for the transaction will be added. Next. And here we have to select the worker mode. As we saw here, we have 4 scenarios, remote and local. So we have to select if we want to launch local or remote, and run mode, the Docker image or Selenium driver. Okay. In our case, we install this Docker container in the same machine that I have or my Pandora server installed. So my worker mode will be local, and the run mode is going to be Docker. Okay. I can select the browser that will launch the transaction here, Firefox or Chrome. I can use the browser that I want. I will use Firefox in my case, because the Docker container have the drivers to be able to work with Chrome or Firefox. Click on next. This is the Docker image that I created. The Docker image I can see here, Pandora FMS, Pandora Selenium Helpdesk. This is the Docker image created as default, so I don't have to touch anything. And if I want to use a specific Firefox profile. We can use without profile, and it will create a new session each time that the transaction is launched, or I can save a profile from my Firefox browser, and load that profile in the machine where, in my case, I have Docker loaded, and I set here the path where I save the profile, and the transaction will be launched with that profile. Okay. Next, with this monitor statistic is going to create more modules that monitors the statistic of the transaction more than the modules that I said before. It will always create the status of the transaction and the global time. The screenshot module with the last error will only be created in the case of the transaction fails. Okay, but if we check this monitor time statistic, it will create more internal, more modules with internal information. I'm gonna let it check so you can see what modules it creates. Global time for the for each of the global commands that we record, the width and the weight of the screen of the browser, the weight between commands, okay, and here Selenium IDE JSON, we have to open the .site file that we record, select all its content, copy, and paste here. Okay. And then press on complete setup. This is my transaction. There's some containers that of the bug images in which we can enter to the container and see in a VLC view what is doing. So we will open the container. We will see the minimum operating system screen, and we will see the browser opening and launching the transaction. Okay, we will see where this fail. The transaction may this fail for any reason. You can see the summary here. In my case, it says fail to locate element, this element for the reason that and it creates two agent with the name of the project. This is the agent with the statistic of the transaction because I let the token of to create models for the statistic enabled. In the case that I let that token disabled, we avoid to create this agent. And the other agent that it created with the models of the transactions, it is this one. Here we can see the three models that I talked before, and the last screenshot if we press here, mm, I don't know why I don't see the browser, but it should show. I have another transaction launched with it failed this morning. Okay, with the last error screenshot that I see the module detail, I can see the what why this transaction can be didn't work. Okay, this the test that we saw in the browser is this. This site can be reached. Okay, because my machine failed with the internet connection like yesterday. I don't know why. Um, so this is what we see in the browser for this transaction, and this one is the same transaction but with less step. So I record that the same way, but I only did a couple of clicks. Okay, but it's the I launched the transaction and the same way. I created another task, and this is the agent that generated the other task or the other transaction, and we see the test the global status, text receipts, the global time that takes the transaction, and the last error screenshot. Okay. In the case of failure, we can see here failed to locate element, recent post link. In that case, if I want to check, I have to go here, and in my case, fail to locate this element. And the main reason usually is that it tries to locate this element before it is loaded. So it is recommended to set a wait for element present before this click, okay? Or set more time in the wait between commands. Okay, I'm gonna test that, and if it works well, and if it doesn't work, bad luck for us. Application task, this one. In case of fail, I'm going to try with this. In that case, with this wait between commands, if the status is done, we see in the summary that it created two agents because I set the token of a statistic. This token enable. Otherwise, it will create only one agent. Okay. And the name of the agent with the statistic is the name of the project that you set in the project of the recording, and the name of the agent with the modules of the status. It is the name of the test. of the project. Okay, it is not the same. So if I want to see that agent, views, review, web, uh, this. Okay. Now I will see that the test is succeeds the global time, the last error screenshot, in this case no, and as I configure an internal command to create a module with the uh, um, content of a variable that I store in the page, I see the module with the data that the website has in that moment. Okay, so um, I prefer using this web analysis module because it is easier to extract the data than the web server, because the web server in the web server we need to extract the XML and configure a regular expression. Here it is easier because we can load a session and with the right button set the content that we want in a variable, and with the get variable internal command, we can create a module with the name that we want with that content. This is the case of the modules created with phases, okay? Um, Global status, global time, and for each phase, global status and time. Okay, this in this case, it creates two phases, phase 0 and phase 1, and we can see that we have a model for global status, model for global time, and a model for phase 0 status, phase 0 time, and phase 1 status and time. Okay. In the agents that we launch the goods transactions, we will see this tab, goods console, okay, with the status of our transactions. If we have configured phases, we will see in this chart the time for each phase to complete. Okay, like this one. Okay, this one has 4 bars instead of 1, because in my case I didn't configure any phase, and here it has 4 phases configuring. In that case, phase for login, phase for agent, phase for group, and phase for users. When you configure in phase, each phase is launched sequentially. So if the transaction fails in the phase 1, the phase 2 and the phase 3 will also fail, okay, because the transaction cannot launch the commands of the transaction after the failure, okay. And we have a case here. I don't know if you have Selenium downloaded. Uh, we have also an extension for Brave browser. Okay, and the content that it asks for the exercise is pretty similar to the transaction that I loaded. Load the recording. It is almost the same that I did in the training. Um, as this exercise can take sometimes, and I don't know, and we don't have we have only 1.5 hours to finish. We're going to continue with the last point, and in the break, I will let this exercise in the case that you want to do it. We're going to continue with the log collection and monitoring. That it is the it's not the last point, but it is this last point is very short, so it's like it is the last point of the training. Okay. The monitoring and log collection has the objective of centralizing the visualization and monitoring of logs from different agents and sources in Pandora FMS. There are two types of log monitoring in Pandora, based on modules. 80% logs in Pandora as asynchronous modules, being able to associate alerts to the detected entry that match a series of conditions pre-configured by the user, all based on the combined visualization. It allows the user to visualize in only one view all the information for logs or multiple sources that want to be captured. Organizing the information and allowing it to be filtered. The logs are sent to the software agent to Pandora in raw format. The data receives the information, save the reference, and send information to an open source server where it is stored. Okay, to monitor logs, we have two ways to monitor that can be combined. Based off combined visualization, it means with OpenSearch, and based on modules, in this case, the content of the log that we want to monitor will be stored in a string module as the data of the module. And we can configure the alerts to that module, configuring the regular expression of the string data as any module string, okay? In that case, we don't need any other server installed in our environment. But if we want to use this combined visualization, we need to install and use a new server with an OpenSearch service installed. Okay, it is mandatory. We are going to see the differences in this machine that I think it is working the log view. Covering, no, the source managed agent, research. Open search, but do we have? Yeah. Okay. This is the visualization through of the logs that we have stored in our OpenSearch. Okay. We see the entry that we want to we can configure the entries that we want to send to the server. Okay, and here with filters, we can select the source or the filters that we want to see, and the agent that send that logs. Okay, and we can filter by a specific string that logs can the test of we store of the logs can have, and we also are be able to um, create alerts with the content of the logs. In the case as if we receive a log with this string for this agent, launch an alert. To be able to configure alert logs, we have to enable the log server. Okay, remember that when we saw the list of the server in Pandora, we saw that we had the syslog server and log server. Syslog server is just to, if we configure an OpenSearch server, is just to send the logs or the syslog of the Pandora server own machine to the OpenSearch. This is what a syslog server does. But the log server is to be able to allow us to configure alerts based on the log received. As I was saying, this is the view of that we have in the of Lord Beware with OpenSearch installed. Here we can create new filters. Okay, in the case that we want to see a filter previously configured. Okay, we see for default the logs for all sources. Okay, and in the agent that it is that they are sending logs, we can see this tab log viewer, and here it is similar to the previous tab, but filtering by the logs of this agent. Let me see if this agent has not configured any module with of log. This base of modules, this agent doesn't have one, but it means that we can configure module of the endpoint for the endpoints agents of type or log type. And the data of that module will be the output of the log. Instead of be writing here, this is not what they want. Instead of being here, this data will be the data of the module. Okay, and this is a normal module, but a normal string module, but it is retrieving data and information of the container logs of different log sources. So in that case, we don't need any OpenSearch server already installed and configured. Yeah, it is just a log, a string module with the data of the logs that we want to extract. Um, as we have seen, we need an OpenSearch server for Pandora to store the collected logs in the case that we don't want to configure this only based on modules. We usually don't want to configure um, this log monitoring only based on modules because that modules um, um, to store in Pandora FMS main database, they are string modules and it cannot be compacted. So it takes a lot of space in Pandora FMS main database, and we cannot um, we cannot see all the logs in the same view, and we cannot configure the filters with the power of the OpenSearch server to look for the models that we want. Okay, so to monitor logs, in the most of the cases, um, we will install this OpenSearch server. This is mandatory to be installed in another machine apart from Pandora server. Okay, it's not the case that we saw in this case with local mass Docker, that we saw that the Docker container could be installed in the same machine as Pandora server is installed. In this case, for OpenSearch server, it has to be in another machine, okay? Because OpenSearch server, service uses a lot of resources, okay? Overall, we will need huge hard disk configure as in a hardware requirements in that machine, okay? Because the main goal for that machine is to store log data, and it takes a lot of hard disk space. Okay. Of course, we have an online installation or for install an OpenSearch server already configured in that machine that we use for OpenSearch, and it is this one you have in your own slides. So I don't copy in the chat. If you are following me by the slides, you will see this command. And this will with the online installer, this will download and install the OpenSearch and the dependencies that it needs, downloading for the official repositories. This case is compatible with this operating system, but also with Linux 9 and RHEL 9. Okay, this is outdated. It also works with Linux 9 without problems. Okay, you have all the requirements in the official documentation. Okay, but overall, it asks for regarding hardware, hard disk, as I said. In our case, we are not going to install in my machine this script works, and I already have one installed for the changing. To configure after installing the OpenSearch server, we have to configure the console to connect with that OpenSearch server that we just installed. Okay, we can do that in here in management, settings, system settings, log collector. Okay, we have to enable log connector and configure here the IP and the port and the user and password of our OpenSearch server. I have one configure here. Mm, Let me look for the data. This IP, user, admin, this password. And, okay. I have one OpenSearch already configured, and I have to set the IP, not the URL, the IP. If it is using HTTPS, check this button. When you configure a new OpenSearch server, you can see if it is responding or working with a curl command. Give me a second. Because I have to delete the password. Okay. With this curl command, here you need to set the username that you configure in your OpenSearch server and the password, and here the URL and the port of your OpenSearch server, and you must receive something like that. Okay, this response. If you receive this, it is correctly configured your OpenSearch server. It is correctly configured. Okay. This is to enable the Pandora FMS syslog server. Okay. We are going to enable in my case. Why not? To enable here syslog server. Here we have more information about syslog configuration. The syslog that we will read is this var log message. Remember that it is the syslog of Pandora FMS own logs. Okay. And that's all. Wait, enable this line is enough. We see this when we change anything of the configuration file, because when the server detects changes in the configuration file, restart the server. Okay, and when the server is restarting, we see here a warning that tell us that the server is restarting. Okay. Here we see this syslog server already enabled, and we see here the log viewer when we receive data in the syslog. We'll see here the data uh, um, added to the syslog. Okay. Um, to configure more log modules, the configuration depends if well, first of all, we need to configure this log collectioning endpoints. Okay, so we have to be an endpoint already configured. Um, there's a way to configure logs from remote agents. If we send the logs from these remote agents to Pandora server, and it is loaded in their own syslog. Okay, and we enable the syslog, and that's all. But to configuring log modules um, from um, um, agents with an endpoint installed, we have to use this. In the case of Windows, we have this module type log, and we have to indicate the name of the module, that it will be the name of the entry in the syslog. Okay. Module type log will need this tag. With module regest, we have to set the path where the log that we want to extract the data it is located. Okay, this is the location for the module, and this is the pattern with a regular expression that we want to extract from this log. This is the regular expression to extract all the data that this log contains. But if we don't want to extract for the syslog server all the data of this file, we can set here a pattern. For example, if we want only to extract the data of the lines that contains the string critical, we can configure here the pattern critical, like this. Okay, with this pattern, we will send to the OpenSearch server all the data, all the new data that will be added to this log file. Okay, but we can filter by the string that we want. And this is no, I have mistaken. This is this will work on Windows and Linux endpoints, but this way, with this configuration, we send this data to the OpenSearch from Pandora to the OpenSearch directly. With this configuration, it also works in Windows and Linux. We create the module as async string. It is asynchronous because maybe we don't receive log entries in this log file that we indicate here. And we don't want to this module to enter to unknown state. So we want um, to this module to be updated only when this log file receive new entries. So in this case, we have to configure a asynchronous string module. So with this configuration in the endpoint, we will create a module with type string with the content of the log, but we do not send that information to the open search. To send the information to the open search, we have to set this type of module. It is almost the same. The main differences are the type log or type asynchronous string. Okay, we're going to test that. Um, on Windows system, we can also create a log channel and log event modules in the agent that pointing to the endpoint agent installed on a Windows system to extract the data of the internal events of Windows system. Okay. Um, you have more information of how to configure that in the manual, but it is pretty easy because you only have to open the Windows event views and configure these entries with the information of the event that we want to monitor. Okay. Here we have the visors. Okay. We're going to configure some modules. Uh, okay, the log. Then I'm going to configure the modules and test that they work in the break time because we have the last break of the training of 15 minutes right now, and we're going to make the break, okay, right now, and I in the break I will create these modules, and we'll see the what modules extract in when we come back. Okay. Um, See you in 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe this break is shorter because I want to finish finish this point and finish the last one before an hour and ask you for the questions that you may have. Okay. So I am going to configure this and we see you in a few minutes. I advise you. Okay, we're going to continue, finish the training. I created for myself the log models, but I am going to explain, of course, how I created. Um, I created two models to see what's the difference between the two types or monitoring logs we have in Pandora. This one base of models uh, is I added daily the models in at the end of the remote configuration of my agent of where I installed the Pandora agent in my server. Okay, um, this is the first type. Okay, um, a model with the name that I want to set log model type asynchronous string in module regex looked at. Um, Notice that we don't use module exec in this type of models. Okay, we use module regex and we set the path of the log that we want to read. The description is optional, and the pattern with a regular expression of the pattern that match the lines that we want to extract. Okay, I created this module file, so I can add the lines that I want to see how they are extracted. Okay, with this configuration, I want to create a module with this type um, with the information of the new lines that this log file uh, of the new entries of this log file. Okay, and here in the agent view, the normal agent view, I see this log model, and the data of this model are the entries that it is accomplishing the pattern that I configure in 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 the creation of the model. Okay, if I want to um, configure the date of the model as all the entries um, for this model, we can set here that it is a pattern that match all the entries of this model. Of course, I can configure the warning and critical threshold as a regular expression with the data that we are receiving in the module. Okay, so we can configure the module to change its status as any another module. Okay, and the other module that I configure to send the data to our log server, because that model that we saw before, um, it doesn't send the data to the syslog server. It's just to create a model with that data as any other model. We don't need the OpenSearch server or any external feature configure. Okay, but to send the data to the or OpenSearch server, I configure this another module, and the most important change is the module type, that it is log. Okay, instead of and asynchronous string, this module type in this case is log. Okay. We also use this module regest tag with the path of the log file and the pattern with the regular expression that we want to match. And in this case, remember that I configured the syslog server to read the syslog of Pandora FMS server, okay, before the break. So here in the log viewer of this machine, we are seeing the syslog here, all the entries, okay. Syslog server as default is monitoring all the entries of the syslog of Pandora, but we can configure that. With this syslog whitelist or blacklist. Okay, this is the filter that we have for the syslog entries. Okay, and if we see we have these other entries instead of a syslog source, there's open source log that it is the name for the log entry that I configure here in this module. Okay, and I have new entries for any new entries that or file that we are reading with that module. Ultimately have. If I add more entries, and I'm going to add one as warning. I need to restart the agent. Remember that this module have configured different pattern than the other module. Okay, the asynchronous module have configured the pattern critical. Okay, so in this case, this entry didn't match. Is not matching the pattern that I set. So that line shouldn't be read by this module. Okay. It is reading continue the new lines. So the lines that existed before is not sent it as data. Okay, because they are sent it in previous data of the module. Okay. Here we have all the content of the module since I configured this module. But in the log server, we are sending all the entries of the log file. So this line should be send it with the other. Okay, critical warning. And we have here interface or OpenSearch to launch OpenSearch queries to find for the logs that we want. Okay, using all the power of the OpenSearch engine. If we see here in this agent, we see all the logs stored in the OpenSearch regarding this or using the sources for this agent. In this case, in the same that this view, because I am using the same agent for all the logs stored in my environment, but if I had more agents sending information to the OpenSearch, I will see the rest of the sources here. This point also has exercise. We are just did this this exercise. If you want to create a log module in the endpoint system in Pandora server that collects your entries on the system log, you can enable the system log directly or configure a module as I did. But instead of pointing to the log file that I pointed, to this, or in this case, this log file, to pointing to the syslog, var log message. It will be the same. Okay, if we configure a syslog with no any other, no further configuration, or we configure a module in the endpoint of our Pandora FMS pointing to the syslog, we are receiving the same information. Okay, and if we configure both, we are going to receive this information repeated. Going to close these windows because they are confusing. And to connect your Pandora machine to the OpenSearch servers, I provided by the instructor. If you want to test, I'm going to send you the data. It's here, management, settings, system settings, log collector. You have to enable log connector and the OpenSearch IP. Is this one? The user is admin, and the pass I type in the chat. Use HTTPS also. And after pressing update, because this machine is in the cloud, and you will be able to use that machine if you want to test the syslog server. Okay, but the SSIs is the same that we configured before. And the last point that we are going to see before finished, it's called Advanced Pandora FMS Management. And we talk about Tentacle configuration. It is a tentacle of Tentacle server service. Okay, it says that in the server where we install the Pandora server service, we also install the Tentacle server that it is the service in charge to receive the XML file of the Tentacle clients installing the endpoints of the remote machines. Okay. We can change some tokens of the configuration of this service, and we have the configuration file here in etc tentacle server.com. If we want to change anything here, okay, change the port, if the security, the max site allow for the each um, log file receive. Okay, if we make change in this file, we have to restart the service to apply the changes. Okay, with systemctl, it's going to be a restart, but I need to be sure of the name of the is tentacle serverty with this command. Okay, and you have more configuration available, but the most common used tokens are addresses in which we can configure the list of the IP addresses that the Tentacle server will listen on the receiving files. In the case we can filter the IP addresses of our endpoints, we can set here the port that our Tentacle server will listen. Um, the default port is 41121. And if we change the port here, we need to change also in the configuration file of the endpoints that you install in your remote machines. Mass connection, maximum number of simultaneous connections that Tentacle server allows in or larger environments of our clients. Maybe it is interesting to change that configuration because the maximum connection simultaneous that it has by default is only 10. Okay, so in um, in the bigger environments that we can have or we can configure, if we have more than 10 simultaneous connection because we have a client with a lot of endpoints installed in several machines. We can increase this name of maximum connections. Okay. Max size is the maximum size of the fields that we can receive. Filters for the file filter definition. The filter by default is that we can receive .com files, .md5 files, these for .c4 collections, okay, and all this filter for the type of the or the extension of the files that we can receive by the Tentacle server. And the directory where the files received will be stored. As default, we know that will be received in the daytime because it is the directory in which our data server will read the files received. Okay, so if we change the that directory, we have to change in the configuration file of Pandora and here in the directory of this tentacle server.conf. Tentacle server is maintained by the Pandora server by default. So if we start a Pandora server, it will assure that the Tentacle server is also up. And to finish the formation, we have an external API and a CLA that it is a command line tools for viewing and managing data, and an external API. Okay. These are features that we can use for automating things or for custom development. Okay. And with CLA, we can view, edit, or edit or create new things without accessing to the console. For example, we can create a new agent, and to launch the CLA, we use this Pandora manage binary, okay, from the server, of course. Pandora manage, if we launch with our more parameters, we see here all the parameters that we can, or all the options that we have to use this CLI command line interface, but it's better to use this the manual, because we have here all the options with examples. When we use the CLI, we have to pass as the first parameter the path to the pandoraserver.conf, so you can connect to the database. Because for doing some things uses a low level, daily creating things in the database, or uses the API to create new things. In this case, with this call, going to launch in one line because we're going to see better. We can create a new agent with the name of my agent. This is the group where included to the agent. This is the operating system. This is the server that will manage this agent. In my case, I have no server with this name, so I assume that it will be created with non-server or my main server. I don't know. We will find out. The IP configured to this agent. This is the description for this agent, and this 0, I don't know what it is. If we want to use the alias as name, okay, as if we check that token when we're creating the agent through the console. We're going to see what we did. It says create an agent my agent, so we're looking for this agent. We don't see. It is because incorrect server. No way to close. Okay, my agent with the operating system that we told to this with this group with this IP address, and the server check that is not it didn't assign any server. Okay. If we have an agent with non-server, if we configure remote checks to that agent, that remote checks won't work. Okay, all the agents has to be server assigned. Um, in my case, it didn't assign any server because I set here the name of a server that doesn't exist in my environment. I wanted to create another one. May to going to delete this agent. My agent. And now here it is. It has the server as assigned. Okay, because I set the correct name. It is just an example of things that we can do with the command line interface. And as I said, we use that command line interface to custom development to create automatic things without the need to go in here to the console and create manually, or to create um, with direct queries to the database. Okay, to avoid touching the database manually of Pandora, we have this command line interface. And the API is pretty the same for integration, but it is more oriented to integrate Pandora with another software, another programs. When another alerting system or another software via the stereo. Okay, no, to use the CLI, we have to develop the script in the Pandora server itself, but the API can be accessed by external machines and external software. Going to open the manual for the API, Pandora FMS, manual API. Okay. We have two versions of API. Okay, we have version 2 and version 1. Version 2 is much more powerful than version 1, but it is in development. So version 2 doesn't have the same commands than version 1. Okay. If we want to see version 2 API, we can do that through here. Pandora console API. Okay, we can select directly the URL of Pandora console and then API. Okay, and here we can find the things that we can do with the Pandora API version 2. We have overall things that we can do with events, group, and users. Okay. If we select the event, we can see here, for example, creates a new event. And we can see here an example of an API call that we can launch to create a new event. there's a way to see as a curl command here, executing. This is a curl command that we can launch for another machine to test this API call to create a new event. Okay. First of using APV2, we need to take care of two things. The first one, that it also we have to take care of version one, is to enable here in system settings, security, this API password, because for version one, we will need this API password. The API password as default is 1234. Okay. And the IP list with API access. Okay. If we want to launch API calls from another IP, we have to set the other AP here. Otherwise, we will see a message that it is not authorized. Okay. If we want to let open to all IP addresses, we can add an asterisk here. This is let open to all to IP addresses, but we do not recommend. We recommend for security a filter by the IP addresses that is needed here. Okay, this is the first thing that we you have to take care for version one and version two, and only for version two, we have to create a token for the user that we want to log in to this API. To create a token, we have to go here to profiles, token management. Okay, and press on create new token. We can set the label for the token that we want, token admin, and we have to select the user for those token. This is because when we launch an API call, we need to log in with an user, and that API call uses the privilege that has that user. For example, if we select this administrator user or this standard user, and this user doesn't have enough privileges to manage the events, if we try to launch an API call to create a new event, it will say that we don't see the enough privileges. Okay. This is the expiration for our token, the expiration date. After that date, the token won't work, but we can create a token without expiration date if we let these two boxes empty. Okay. After pressing create, we see the token here. And this is the only moment that we see that token. Okay. In that case, I see that it appeared in information, and I don't have a time for that information very high. It should be a warning, not information. Label admin token. I see here the token. And it is the only time that I will see that token. If I do not save the token right now in that moment, or I don't save the token uh, in a document or a file, I have to delete the token and create a new one because I cannot see that token um, in any place on Pandora. So with that token created, uh, I'm looking for the cool. Let me see. Because I have to introduce the token somewhere. If I try to launch the API call um, with not without configuring this ACL list, I will see this error. It's not in ACL list. This error indicates that the IP where I am trying to access is not here. For test, I am going to let this open. You need to be authenticated. Okay. I have to pass the token. Give me a second to see how can I pass. Then maybe in the documentation, I have an example here. Mm, okay. To launch this API call, I need to set the IDE group here. Now, okay, with this API call, I created a new event. This one. event created for API. Okay. Um, in version 2, we can see the documentation here in the link that I said. And if we press on tryout and press on execute, we will see the code that we need to test this API call. Just take care of adding in the header the authorization bearer with the token that you generated in the console. Okay. This is all about version 2, and to use version 1 that allow us the performance is worse, but it allow us to configure more things. For example, yet I think to I want to yet model data or utility models, for example. Okay, to use version 1, we have to use or we can use this URL called okay. In the URL, we have to indicate the here this parameter. If we want to launch a get or a post API call, if you copy the code from here, it is already set. So we can change the API call for this one to retrieve all agents. The parameters of the API call depends of the API call. Okay, so you have to check what are the parameters and the syntax of the specific API call here in the manual. Post Pandora console includes API. API pass as default 1, 2, 3, 4. Look that, notify that in this case, at the end of the API call, we have to set the access for the server. Okay, the API pass is always mandatory, and the API pass is we only use in version 1 API calls. An user for a console. If you remember, when we created users, there was an option to create a user only for the with access to the API. If we create a user with this login error token enabled, we will create a user only to be used with this kind of calls, okay, the API call. But we can use any user, okay, of the system within our privileges. In my case, I will use the admin, but the pass in my case is not correct. It's not Pandora. I don't remember if it's Pandora 1 or Pandora 2. Terror. Not sure. Here. Okay, so with the correct login information. In this case, this API call is to get all the agents in our environment. Okay, we can filter by the specific groups, by specific states, and whatever we need. And the output always can be in JSON format or in CSV format. Okay. In this case, my format is CSV because I indicate here in the return type, but if I indicate JSON, it is returned in a JSON format, the output, okay? Here I can see all of the agents of my environment that I am filtering by a group. Yes, I am filtering by a group because I have more agents that this one. I'm filtering by the group servers. And with this API call, I retrieving this information, but we all have all of these list of these API calls. So there are API calls to retrieve or to configure whatever you want. Not only to get things, we also have set API calls. For example, this is a set API call to delete an alert template. Okay. In this manual, you can find all the APIs that we have, and this is for external for be used for external application or to, same as the CLI to automating things without creating things directly in the console. And that's all about the course, and that's all about the training. We finish in time. If you have any question, feel free to ask before we close the session. We finished 10 minutes before the time.
Jose, thank you very much for your training. It was very interesting and very, I don't know how in English, very intensive. Thank you that we spent this day with you.
Thank you, Julia. Yes, the training in the most of the cases is from Monday to Friday. Okay, we have one day more, but in our case this week here tomorrow is holidays. So
yeah. I understand. Thank you. Thank you for it, that you. Что вы цените наши праздники? That you.
Okay, Julia want to say what it is nice what you're using same celebration as in other countries.
Yes, tomorrow is also holidays there in Russia.
Yes, in Russia and I think in Belarus also.
Okay. Here in Madrid, only in Madrid we have 2 days of holidays because tomorrow is the worker day and tomorrow is the day of the day after the May 2. It is the day of the community of Madrid. So it is also holidays only here in Madrid, but this year is Saturday. So we don't celebrate because here the holidays on Saturday. we do not pass to Monday or something. So this is one of the most larger holidays in the year, and this year we only take advantage of one day. Bad luck.
Okay. I think it's like in Russia and in Belarus, it will be tomorrow and 9 May also will be holidays. I'm correct, Julia?
Yes, that's right. We have 3 days holidays. The first day of May, and after a Victory Day in a 9 May. In a 9 May. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
We have 1, 2 in May in Madrid, and only Madrid 1, 2, and 15.
1, 2, and 15. Okay. In Azerbaijan, it will be holidays in tomorrow. It's working day, but 9 May also holiday. And after it will be end of May, it will be in from 27 up to 30, I think, May. It will be like Independence Day plus like vacation days. Okay, let's check what day. Maybe I will discuss also with Sancho. Maybe we will decide about some preferred day for the exams. We need 2 days, correct, for the PAT and for PE exams, or only one?
An official exam 2 days, but I don't know if Sancho says that we dedicate 1 day for all the students of this course. Maybe you can do that in 1 day. It will be a large exam because you need, I think, 2 hours for PAT and 3 for PAA. I don't remember exactly, but in the official date, you will need 2 days. But I don't know what Sancho wants to do.
Okay, let me discuss with guys. Коллеги, скажите, пожалуйста, что вам будет удобно? Сделать, попробовать договориться, чтобы мы в один день 2 экзамена сделали, или же сделать классические в 2 дня разных?
Классические в 2 дня.
Классические в 2 дня, распределить. Окей, хорошо. Тогда, в принципе, я постараюсь либо выберем как бы официальные даты, которые для всех, ну, когда сдают все, либо я постараюсь выбрать для вас отдельные даты. Вы мне подскажите, сколько дней вам нужно там, выдержать паузу, подготовиться и так далее.
Ну, Лиз, буду говорить за себя, наверное, за моего коллегу Артема Джураева, нам хотя бы до следующей среды. То есть я так помню, там 1-я среда месяца, да, и 3-я среда месяца, когда вот проходит экзамен. Вот. Ну, как раз следующая среда, 1-я будет в мае.
Хорошо. Так, 1-я среда мая, это у нас какое число там получается? Это у нас получается 6 число.
Ну, нам хотя бы до этого времени, да. И вдруг, если есть какие-то тренировочные тесты, тоже было бы здорово, потому что я знаю, что там вот в SolarWinds Академии были, да, там, когда готовишься тренинг-тест.
Давайте сейчас уточним. Jose, have some like training tests maybe to prepare for exam?
I think in the academy, each point have their own test, but only in the academy. I also recommend finish the courses in the academy. Okay, I don't know if I asked user for you. I don't know if you receive an email with the access to the academy, but I recommend to finish the courses of the academy because you have more exercises and more theoretical questions.
Окей. Коллеги, вы получали какие-нибудь доступы для Академии?
Ну, если за себя говорить, то нет, не получали. Мы вот только получили доступы до серверов виртуальных и до презентаций.
Я понял.
По ним мы планировали готовиться, еще раз там практику пройти и, ну, там, да, с видео.
Хорошо. Okay, Jose, note was sent. Can you ask colleagues to send access to the academy?
Yes, sure. The only thing that he will send on Monday, okay? Because
Okay.
I think right now he stopped working because today we start working earlier because tomorrow is holidays. So I think he maybe stop for today. So you will he will create on Monday. I asked for it. But he didn't tell me that it was done. But I am going to remind him to create the user. Okay.
Окей. Тогда давайте я попробую, так как это, если они только в понедельник создадут, это будет уже 4 число, правильно? Я не думаю, что 2 дня будет удобно вам для для теста, для, ну, как бы...
Подготовки. Ну да, может быть, тогда там 3-я среда или 2-я, как и будет вам проще. То есть индивидуально договориться или все-таки в общем потоке мы пойдем?
Хорошо, давайте это я проговорю уже в понедельник тогда с Санчо непосредственно насчет этого. Как бы сервера, где вот вы сегодня работали, ну, вы работали все эти 4 дня, мы оставим специально недельки на 2, чтобы могли поэкспериментировать. Да, как бы с этим проблем нету. Вот. Если нужно доступ, как я уже сказал, к нашей демо-системе, где посмотреть там вообще, как это все выглядит, работает и так далее, примеры какие-то, нужно, напишите мне или на тренинг, мы сделаем соответствующий доступ. Это не проблема. Так. Значит, все видео, вот сегодняшнее тоже будет, когда Жозе пришлет. Я отдам команду, чтобы выложили в ту же папку, где у вас все презентации. Да, как бы там сейчас, по-моему, 3 дня уже выложены видеозаписи все. Если вдруг нужно посмотреть, там на OneDrive они все есть. Так, окей. Может быть, еще какие-то вопросы, коллеги?
Вопрос пессимиста. У нас одна попытка сдать экзамен или 2?
Обычно две. Jose, about amount of the tries for the exam, it's like 2 times possible, yeah?
Yes, if I remember well, yes, you have two tries per part, per course, per Pandora PhD or Pandora PEA. But if you want, I ask for the instructor that besides send you the access to the academy, sends you all the information about the exam. The number of tries, the possible dates, what do you need, because before I was in charge to making the exams, but there's some time that I'm not in charge, so I don't know if something changes or not. Let me type to the instructor that with the access to the user, send the information about the certification, about the exams. Okay, so you can have all the information in the email. Okay. But I think so. Before when I was in charge, it was 2 attempts for course.
Yeah. It's because last then we make in Baku training, it was same 2 times per course.
Yes, it is the main exam and the recovery or recuperation. Yes.
Да, то есть у вас 2 попытки на каждом курсе. И все сразу притихли.
Не, ну это хорошо.
Да, так. Окей, тогда, в принципе, всю информацию подготовят о возможных датах, о практике прохождения экзамена и так далее. То есть, в принципе, ну, у нас на самом деле группа в прошлом году, которая сдавала, это был офлайн тренинг в Баку, у нас получается, по-моему, из 11 или 12 человек, 11 сдали. Со скрипом, но сдали.
Ну, это оптимистичные новости. Надеюсь, что мы сможем.
Да, ну я тоже надеюсь, что, в принципе, насколько я понимаю, курс более интенсивный, экзамен чуть полегче. Ну, может быть, что-то поменялось с прошлого года, но вот я говорю, в прошлом году у нас достаточно неплохая эффективность была, при том, что группа была очень разнородная, то есть были люди, ну, например, тот же самый, вот вы Руслана знаете, Руслан Батурин,
Да.
как бы, да, с опытом там Соларвинца, и были люди, у которых был опыт максимум там Забикса. Вот. Так что думаю, что справимся. Тогда мы подготовим всю информацию, вы спокойно отдыхаете, перевариваете все, что необходимо. Если будут какие-то вопросы, всегда можно мне там написать или в мессенджер, или в email, если какие-то пожелания есть и так далее. Сервера, как я уже сказал, мы оставляем полностью рабочие, можете с ними экспериментировать. Вот, что еще? Если какие-то нужны материалы, доступы, напишите. Мы всегда мы только за то, чтобы вы, сдали экзамен, вы стали классными специалистами. Мы в этом кровно заинтересованы.
Да, Александр, спасибо. Будем стараться, в общем-то.
Хорошо. Тогда, если вопросов нет, я думаю, можем на сегодня закончить. Да?
Да, спасибо.
Okay.
Спасибо.
Jose, okay, thank you very much for your training for all days and your energy.
Thank you for your attention and for the assistance.
You're welcome.
I know it is a very intensive, but our clients say that. But to finish of seeing all the things in 1 week is the only way. But yes, if it is interesting for you and it is interesting for the trainers.
Yeah. And I saw what for us it's major have a lot of trained engineers because it's major for the business, like nothing private, just a business, like that. We already have around 11 trained staff from last year. Then Rafael make offline training in Baku. And I hope we will have 10 additional engineers.
A lot of trainers. Yes.
Yeah. It's also a point of discussion with Sancho about to prepare trainer for the native language, like Russian basic language, because for the CIS it will be interesting. Юлия, в принципе, кстати, у нас была такая дискуссия. В принципе, Pandora готовы подготовить и тренера на русском языке, да, чтобы можно было готовить для СНГ на русском языке, не было там проблем с английским и так далее. Поэтому мы сейчас тоже рассматриваем вариант подготовки вот такого тренера там, на уровне партнера или на уровне дистрибьютора.
Ну, это интересное приложение, да.
Вот. Так что я думаю, что в принципе, если, например, спокойно сдадите экзамен, потом наработаете какой-то пласт именно, скажем так, пытаюсь переключаться между несколькими языками, поэтому...
Понимаю, опыта, то есть работа с самой системой, да.
Совершенно верно. То мы с удовольствием бы подготовили 1-2 тренеров.
Ну да, это действительно интересно на уровне дистрибутора, я соглашусь с вами. Не могу сказать, что мне это не интересно. Нет, сразу.
Вот. Ну и я надеюсь, что наконец-таки компания Soft как минимум проснется для России и тоже будет работать. Потому что уже все СНГ так или иначе пилоты делаем и продаем. Вот, к сожалению, в России пока все глухо.
Ну, Александр, я могу это, конечно, не на тренинге с вами пообщаться, подискутировать, потому что, да, это... Ну, опять-таки, я же представляю инженеров, да, есть часть бизнеса. У бизнеса есть другие опасения, риски, которые они Я с удовольствием. Я могу вам сказать, что работая с системой мониторинга, ну, то есть как бы я состоялась как инженер, начиная с системы мониторинга, да, потом уже стала руководителем отдела. В общем и целом, система мониторинга сейчас на рынке у нас, ну, там один, наверное, достойный. То есть прошло там, ну, 2, ладно, что ж я вру. Сколько вот уже 4 года, да, без малого. И вот много что у нас достойного из русского можно предложить, а система мониторинга я пока вот, ну, после американцев только там буквально парочку могу назвать.
Я вас понял. Окей, хорошо. Ну, будем надеяться, что так или иначе мы освоим просторы России с помощью Пандоры.
И я, да, надеюсь тоже. Тем более, что у вас нет репутации ушедших с рынка.
Да, мы наоборот приходим на рынок. То есть вот
Да.
коллеги из Беларуси не дадут соврать. Мы, в принципе, интенсивные мероприятия делаем и пилоты запускаем и так далее.
Угу.
То есть у нас уже, в принципе, по Беларуси прошло, сейчас скажу, с сентября прошлого года у нас прошло уже 4 или 5 мероприятий по Пандоре только в Беларуси.
Ну, это здорово, да. Хороший
Да.
показатель.
Да. Окей, коллеги, не буду вас тогда задерживать. Я думаю, что у вас еще короткий рабочий день, наверное, сегодня перед праздниками.
Угу. Да, так и есть.
Okay. Again, Joseph, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend and celebration.
Thank you.
Stay in touch, and I will discuss maybe in Monday with Santi about date of exams. And we waiting from your colleague access to the academy and information about exams.
Yeah, I just type him, and on Monday I will have a meeting with him, and I will remind that create the user as soon as possible and send to that emails the information with the SAM, as I say. Have a nice weekend, and I wish you luck with the certification exams.
Okay, thank you. Спасибо всем большое, вы все молодцы. Вы все супер.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Jose. Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.